In this video, you're gonna learn what it takes to get a perfect credit score. The other day I was on YouTube and I seen this video from one of my favorite YouTubers, Graham Stephan. And while I thought, how could I recreate this video? I also thought, let me not reinvent the wheel. Let me just add my insights to it. So we're gonna be reacting to his video about how he said you can get a perfect credit score for $0. Now, if you guys like videos on financial freedom, success, and becoming the best version of yourself, go ahead and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Within the next 30 days, I'm gonna be doing a $1,000 cash giveaway. Also, I've been working on something really exciting. I'm gonna be starting a Patreon. So one of my big goals with this YouTube channel and following I have is to one day become a keynote / motivational speaker. And a lot of you guys have messaged and commented on my videos saying that I'm very inspirational and motivational. And while I appreciate those comments, I want to make a bigger impact. So I'm gonna be starting a Patreon, not an OnlyFans, a Patreon, basically doing daily tips and motivation. I'm also gonna be giving you guys massive discounts on my courses and services, and also creating an entrepreneur community group chat. One of the things that I struggled with the most when I first started my entrepreneurship journey was all the backlash that I faced from my friends, my family, and all the people who didn't believe in me. And the reason I was able to succeed was because I kind of had like a mindset mentor. And even though a lot of people don't want to hear that, I'm going to be giving a different twist to it. I'm going to be giving you mindset, sales techniques, money tips, everything that you need to know as far as marketing, branding, and basically little snippets of clips that can help you throughout your day on your entrepreneurship journey, no matter what business you're in, because those are videos that I can put up real quick. It's going to be a monthly subscription of $20, which is less than 50 cents per day. So if you're serious about the growth of your business and the growth starts with the mindset you have, then go check out my Patreon. It's really going to be beneficial to your business. And without further ado, let's get right into the video.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So it finally happened, and we're celebrating today because for the last 9 years, my credit score has never once surpassed the legendary 800 score. I got it once to 799, but it was just never able to break past it. That was until today. We did it. The credit overlords have bestowed their greatness upon thee, and my score has finally passed the 800 mark, which, by the way, is a threshold in which most people would consider it to be a perfect score.
That's a pretty solid score. One thing people have to realize is that you can have a really high score, but it doesn't mean nothing unless you have the history. And from what I remember after seeing this video, he said that he's basically had credit history for the past 9 years. I think this guy's 30, so that basically means he's been building his credit profile since he was around 20. I've been doing the same thing, so history is what matters the most. There's people with 800 scores, or maybe not 800, but 750, 760, 780, and they got no history and literally can't get approved for a $500 credit card.
Which also means I can finally make a video about it on YouTube about how to get a perfect score. So here's why all of this matters in the first place. Your credit score is really just a report card of how well you handle your money. Like in school, you'll do well on your exams and tests to get a good grade, but in life, you handle your money responsibly and you get a good credit score. And having a good credit score isn't just something you look at online and then go and make videos about on YouTube. But you can do that. Although it does have a pretty practical purpose where it can save you a lot of money, and even better, it can end up making you a lot of money. Having a good credit score means you can get the lowest interest rate anytime you want to leverage your money in real estate, in business, or just in...
Credit score is basically the report card of life. Let's get into the juicy stuff.
Test assignments, attendance, and whether or not you actually smash the like button. Your credit score grades you on several different
Yeah, smash the like button. Right there, smash the like button.
Factors as well. So if you want a perfect score, you have to do well on all of them. First is your on-time payment history, and this makes up 35% of your credit score. Now this one is incredibly straightforward. Just don't miss a credit card payment and don't pay it off late ever. In order to get a perfect credit score, you'll need to pretty much never miss a payment, otherwise that could ruin everything. Now here's how this works and how it's calculated. The credit gods look at all of your on-time payments and then divide that by your total payments, and then from that, they calculate what percentage you paid on time. Now here's just an example. Let's say you've had one credit card for 60 months and you end up missing one payment. That means the
quick thing is you can actually miss your payment and not be totally jeopardized for it. Now, while the credit card company might give you a late fee, they typically don't report it late unless it's 30 days late. So a family friend of mine actually just reached out to me saying that he was late on his car loan, but most of these creditors will actually give you a 30-day grace period. So even if your payment was due today, you actually won't get reported late to the credit bureaus. Typically, some credit cards don't do it or some loan companies don't do it, but typically they don't report it being late until at least 10 to 20 to 30 days late. So don't really push it to the limit where you're playing with the grace periods, but you do have a little grace period even if you do miss the actual due date.
Credit overlords take 59 on-time payments, divide that by 60 total payments, and you have a 98.3% payment ratio. And as you can see from the Credit Karma score calculator, that puts you in the yellow, which is not good. That is unacceptable if you want to get a perfect score. However, in a different example, let's say you've now...
Two things. One, don't use Credit Karma. It's extremely inaccurate. Go to Experian.com or Identity IQ. It's a paid service, but you get what you pay for. You have to pay to play, especially if you're serious about your credit score. And the second thing is you could literally have 1,000 on-time payments, and if you miss one payment, you could literally just throw everything down the drain. So really focus on not missing any payments. Set reminders in your phone. Get an app for your bills. Don't miss a single payment. It could really throw everything you worked hard for all the way down the drain.
Had 2 credit cards each for 60 months and you end up missing 1 payment. Well, now you have a total of 120 credit payments between 2 credit cards, which means that they take 119 on-time payments. Divide that by 120 total payments between the 2 cards, and that means you paid 99.1% on time, which puts you in the green category as far as credit card.
One payment messed you up over 5 years. Didn't mess you up, but
that makes up your credit score is known as what's called the credit utilization, that makes up 30% of your score. Now, in order to get a perfect score, the credit bureaus just want to see that you're not out there just maxing out all of your credit cards and that you're only using a small percentage of the overall credit that you have available to you. Ideally, you want to be spending under 10% of your total credit limit, showing the almighty credit gods that you don't need all the money they've given you because you're that good with money. Now, if you're confused, here's how...
Now look, I have a different mindset when it comes to this. I'm in credit groups on Facebook, and when people go in there saying that they max their card out for an investment, they seem to get shamed. Now, what he's saying is valid, but how I look at it is if you're going to invest all this money and time into getting a good score and getting these big credit cards, what's the point of not using them? I know the point game and how you can use points to get free trips and go places and get free items. But if you have an opportunity to invest and grow your business or buy a piece of property or start a business or make a move, there's nothing wrong with maxing your card out. If you have to max your card out to get to a further level in your career or business, then do it, but make sure you have the means to pay it back. You don't have to pay it off, but be able to pay it back. There's been times where I maxed my cards out and then paid it back after a deal was ended up closing, and it gave me the leverage to do what I was trying to do to get where I was trying to go. So people will tell you never max your cards out. It's not a great idea because the interest will start to build on you. But if you need the credit as leverage to make the move you're trying to make, then there's nothing wrong with it. Don't be scared to max your cards out. You have to use the leverage you can to make the moves you're trying to make.
This works, and here's how it's calculated. Let's just say you have a credit card with a $10,000 limit and you go out there and you spend $6,000, and then after that you just go and make the minimum payment. Well, at that point you do the calculation and you're using 60% of the available credit you have, which puts you in the red category here, which is bad. And from that, you're seen as a riskier borrower because you're carrying a higher balance, and that makes the credit bureaus very angry.
Makes them scared to death. When you do max out the cards, if you have to do it, do what you gotta do. But if you leave the balance on there for 3 to 6 months, when you do pay it back, instead of paying it back, say it's a card that's maxed out that limits $8,000, pay it back in $2,000 increments, because they might chase the balance. Meaning if the balance was $8,000, the total available credit is the total available limit on that card is $8,000, and you pay the entire $8,000 back, they might, because they think you're such a high risk, which is kind of dumb because you're giving me the money, but you get scared when I spend it, which that whole mentality is for another topic of another video. Don't pay it back in one shot unless you have history of maxing it out, paying it back, maxing it out, paying it back. If you have a maxed out card where you're making the minimum payment for 3 to 6 months, and then you come into the money, maybe a deal closed or whatever the case may be, pay it in $2,000 increments to see if they chase the balance, meaning they might lower your available credit when you pay it down to $5,000 to $6,000. So you basically just threw $2,000 out the window. But like I said, it's good to keep your balances low, but if you have to max them out to get to the next level in your career or business, then it's there to use it.
And they're going to lower your score. On the other hand, if you have the same one credit card with a $10,000 limit, you spend $6,000, but you pay it off in full when it's due, that means you now owe $0 on a $10,000 credit line, which shows that you have a 0% credit utilization, which makes the credit bureaus very happy and gives you a green category. Now, there are some ways around this because it's not the dollar amount that the almighty credit gods care about, it is the percentage of credit that you actually use. So this means if you have a $300 credit line and you go out and spend $300, that just means you've maxed out your card, you have a 100% credit utilization, and that's very bad. But if you go and spend that same $300, although this time you have a $30,000 credit line, then that's showing that you only have a 1% credit utilization, which is really good. Now, one of the techniques I use to help with this is just to have a lot of available credit with all really high limits. For instance, right now, I have over 12 credit cards, and many of them have over $30,000 credit lines. Now, I'm never, ever...
Yeah, typically, keep it under 30%. That's your best bet for high scores, being a low risk, all of that stuff. So payments, credit utilization,
as they possibly can, even if it means going and getting a credit card the day you turn 18. This will build the entire foundation of your credit history very early on. Now, it's very important for me to distinguish here that this is calculated by the average length of your total credit history and not the total length. And let me explain. Let's just say you've opened one credit card 4 years ago. That would mean your average credit history shows as 4 years. But if you opened up that...
Let's talk about trade lines real quick and then we'll get back into the video. I would rather have a $3,500 secured card with a 10% balance than a $15,000 trade line with a $20 available credit or $20,000 balance. Well, not balance, but you know what I'm saying. Because people are, the banks are hooking on to this whole trade line game. They know that it's not your account, it's somebody else's account. Where a secured card, even though it's not as high, at least it's over 3,000 and the utilization is at 10 to 30%, you're looked at better because you're responsible for the bill. Where a trade line, you can load your account up with trade lines and really can't get approved for anything because they're not yours. You don't pay the bill, you're not responsible for it. So why would I lend you money when you have really no proof of payments because you're not paying the bill, somebody else is?
One credit card 4 years ago, and then you opened up another new credit card today, your average credit history would be reduced now to 2 years. Remember, because it only takes the average. The same also applies if you end up closing an old credit line, because some people believe it's a good idea just to close old credit cards they don't use anymore. This could be really bad, because once you close off an old credit card, even though it'll still show in your account for 7 to 10 years, it could lower the average age of your accounts after that, and then you would have to wait even longer to build it back up. So my recommendation is to first start building your credit as soon as you possibly can and keep all of those accounts in good standing as long as possible. This is going to help you build up a solid fortress of long-standing credit history so that when you do go and apply for new credit, it's not going to impact your account as much since you have a lot of long-standing credit history already. And because of all of that, it's going to reduce your score a lot less. And when it comes to doing all of this, really the only thing you could do at this point is just wait. This part of building your credit just takes time, so don't be impatient if you've just got a credit card and made a few on-time payments and don't yet have a 760 score. Patience goes a long way with this one, so sometimes you're just going to need to wait this one out. And in terms of how long you'll need to wait, according to the Credit Karma Guide, they want you to have 9 years or more of average credit history to get the best ranking. And even for me, my average account length shows just over 4 years because of all of the new credit I've taken out recently. And still, it doesn't make a huge difference because it only makes up 15% of your total credit score, and I've done every other category very well. Now, the fourth aspect of your credit score is how many lines of credit do you have open, and this makes up 10% of your score. Now, this is one of those things that you would think makes absolutely no sense. Like, why would you go and reward someone for going and opening up more credit cards and taking out more loans? You would think that the person who doesn't really need any credit and doesn't have much would have the highest score, right? But if you think that way, you would be wrong, and here's why. Now, first, the more credit you have, the higher your credit limit will be, which means the lower your overall credit utilization is likely to be, which means the higher the score you will have, if that makes sense. So second, by having more credit available, you're going to be able to show more on-time payments, which, like I said, is going to help increase your score as well. And third, having a mix of credit, like having a mortgage, an auto loan, and a credit card, shows lenders that you can responsibly handle different types of debt without defaulting on them. All of this sounds like pretty backwards thinking, and a lot of it reminds me of the mindset of, we're only going to loan people money who don't need money because they're the most likely to pay us back. And that, by the way, is very true. Banks love lending you money when you don't need it, and it's...
I have 374 on-time payments. I'm not sure if you can see that.
As soon as you do need the money, you're seen as a higher risk because you need it. So really, this is just something you need to play into. It's how the system works, and according to Credit Karma, they want to see you with 21 lines of credit or more to have the perfect score. And for most people, I have a feeling this is going to take you a very long time to build up to. But I wouldn't stress about it too much. It only makes up 10% of your score. Although I would recommend you aim to diversify your credit profile over time, because long term, that is going to help you get an 800 plus credit score. And finally, fifth, we have the last component of your credit score.
Credit's a long-term play, guys. It's a long-term play. And even though it's a smart strategy, I always say in my videos that you need a long-term play, a short-term play, a medium-term play, a daily play, because if you're just relying on, oh, I'm gonna get funding for $300,000, one, where's your cash flow to pay it back? And two, that could take, months. One of my partners, my business partners, has been building up his credit since May of 2019. And while he has some big credit lines, it's a slow but very rewarding process.
Which makes up the remaining 10%, and that would be the total amount of inquiries on your credit report. Now here's how the...
Plug, if you guys need inquiries removed in 48 to 72 hours, email me, I can get inquiries removed.
This one works. Anytime you go and apply for new credit, it's reported to the credit bureaus and shows up on your report as what's called a hard inquiry. This helps lenders keep track of how many times you're going and asking for credit. And generally speaking, the more times you're going and asking for credit...
If you got more than 10 inquiries, unless you're getting like a car loan, if you're applying for a revolving credit line and you have more than 10 inquiries, you're not gonna get approved. Anything more than like 5 inquiries and it's just all denials.
The riskier you become as a borrower. This is because lenders are worried that all of a sudden you're out there going and applying for new credit cards and loans, and they're concerned that maybe something has happened that is causing you to do this. Like, they're thinking, why did you just get 3 credit cards and an auto loan today? Are you running out of money? Are you going to all of a sudden max it out and then never pay it again? This all seems worrisome to lenders, so therefore the more hard inquiries you have on your credit report, the lower your score is generally going to be. Now, in addition to that, if you are out there getting new credit cards and getting new loans, that is going to reduce your average credit length history, which could end up further dropping your score as well. That's why so many people end up telling me that they just opened up a new credit card and then all of a sudden their score drops by like 50 points.
Make a few payments and it'll go right back up.
So no, it was not just the inquiry that did that. It was also the reduction in your total average length of credit history that impacted your score as well. The inquiry was really only a small component of that. The good news, however, is that all of this is really just a temporary thing, because hard inquiries only show on your report for the first 2 years, and they only impact your score for the first 12 months. Then after that, they drop off your report, and it's like it never even happened in the first place. The other good news with this is that if you're shopping around for an auto loan or a mortgage, and you'll need to run your credit multiple times with different lenders to get different rates, the FICO scoring method will generally just group all of those inquiries together as one, and therefore it's only going to impact you as if you ran your credit score once. once. So that way you can go to 5 different lenders for a mortgage, have them all run your credit 5 times, and it's only going to count as you running it once. Of course, as long as you do it within a relatively short period of time, within just a few weeks of one another. This is to promote rate shopping for you as the customer without penalizing you with your credit score. But again, this only makes up 10% of your overall credit score, so it's pretty minimal. But ideally, if you're going to want the Credit Karma Green score, they want you to have 0 hard inquiries in the last 12 months. Now, realistically, I think having 0 inquiries in the last 12 months is rather ridiculous, especially if you're out there going and getting like credit cards.
So there you guys have it. He spoke on payment history. He spoke on utilization, credit history, total credit lines, and then hard increase. So those are like the 5 components that break down what it takes to get a perfect score. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. Like I said, be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. I'm gonna be doing a $1,000 cash giveaway very soon. And join my Patreon if you guys are looking for daily motivation, success tips, entrepreneur insights, and everything else. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.